So now we're moving on to the stage plot portion. So what is a stage plot? A stage plot is a graphic image that's used to quickly convey your tech needs and spacing to audio techs and event staff. It's typically like an aerial view of the stage, so like top-down bird's eye view, so that festival organizers will know what your stage setup looks like. Stage plots are especially important in festival settings as there are going to be many different performers throughout the duration of the event, so things are going to be moving around quite a bit to accommodate everybody's acts. Right, so what should I include in a stage plot? A stage plot should have all the equipment that you're going to need for your performance, which includes things supplied by the venue and things that you'll be bringing. Some examples of what you would include would be amps, DI boxes, instruments, props, chairs or tables, kind of blocking things, or laptops. Yeah, just in case people want a definition for DIs, it's just a little box that you can plug like a 1/4-inch cable into to run directly through the soundboard instead of using an amp. So you lose a little bit of control on your end about like tone and volume, but it does run straight into the board, which is kind of nice. Right. And oh yeah, just another note on instruments. For instruments that are going to be plugged into an amp, just position them near their respective amp on your stage plot. And if you have like an acoustic guitar or a ukulele or any kind of other kind of instrument that doesn't have electric capabilities, I would request an instrument mic on a boom stand, and then just also include what kind of instrument it's for. Generally, the more info you can provide, the better, as it will help with the overall festival flow. A few other items, particularly for larger groups, these are a few good things to consider. So monitors, you can include monitor placement if you'd like. Oftentimes, festivals will have kind of preset positions for monitors, but if you're performing as a part of a larger or louder group, it can be really helpful for each band member to have their own monitor. Typically, they're kind of like the little wedge style, like triangular monitors that are just angled up a bit so that you can hear yourself better. I would also add a legend. So if you have kind of like multiples of anything like microphones, it can be helpful to represent them with a symbol and include a legend at the bottom of your stage plot for readability. And some festivals will also ask for the names of your group members. It's not mandatory for our festival, but sometimes people ask for it just to assist in ease of flow during changeover times. It can be handy to put it somewhere on the plot, either directly on the stage or below, kind of with your legend as well. So how do you make or fill out a stage plot? If you've been presented with a template to fill out, there are kind of a few different routes that you can take. So if you want to go digital, you could either use Microsoft Word or Google Docs and create some shapes to represent your gear, or you can go analog, pen and paper. You can print off the document and draw your stage plot, keeping in mind that it should be clear and easy to read. Once you're finished, you can scan it back or use a document scanning app on your phone, like Cam Scanner as an example, and email it back. I've got a couple examples. So this was actually Jason's stage plot that they submitted, which was super neat, easy to read. I thought it'd be a great example for this. And I believe this was mostly filled out in Google Docs, and then the text was added in Microsoft Word. But you can see it's got all the info that we need. We know exactly what the stage is going to look like, which is great. Thanks, Jason. This is a little sample one that I kind of whipped up in Microsoft Word. I actually hadn't had like too much experience using like any of their images, but they have a lot of preset icons and things for instruments, which is really handy. So yeah, I made all of these shapes using the shapes tool and the icons tool in Microsoft Word, and I just like made up this band. So you can see there's a couple of monitors at the front. We've got a vocal mic. I used X's for the instrument boom mic. So there's a couple on the drum kit. There's a sax that'll need it. And then a little guitar and a little guitar amp. So if you want to create a stage plot from scratch, this can be pretty useful if you often perform in the same configuration, as you can just make it once and then send it out to whatever gigs require it. So you could use Google Docs again and create like a blank 1x1 table, which is just to make that big square. The table is nice because you can fill things out in it instead of like making a big rectangle with the shapes tool, because then it doesn't want you to like put things inside of it. But yeah, if you create a table, then you can use the drawing tool under the insert menu in Google Docs. Microsoft Word is similar. If you create a blank table and then use the shapes and icons features, which are also under the insert menu. Canva is really fun. It makes things look super nice and is very easy to use. Most features are also available in the free version, so you don't have to worry about upgrading to a paid account unless you like use it a ton. But yeah, it's got a whole bunch of like kind of presets as well, which is really nice. And I also just checked Photoshop onto the end of it here, just in case anybody really likes Photoshop, because if that's your program of choice, go for it. My Photoshop skills are pretty limited, so I kind of prefer Canva. But yeah, if you've got a good working knowledge of Photoshop, you could always use that as well. Got another example here. So this is actually my friend's band stage plot. So it's like a real, a real actual stage plot that they use. They're called Earth Tones, if you want to check them out. I love them very deeply. But they made this one in Canva. So you can see it's like very clear, easy to read, communicates all of their instrumentation, as well as that they've got a lead vocalist and like 3 backup vocalists, or instrumentalists who are also singing backup vocals. And I believe a lot of this was kind of preset and available in Canva, and it was just dragging and dropping, which is very nice. All right, a couple of final notes for the festival. So we've provided like a little blank stage plot for you to fill out as well in that document form. And once you've completed the first parts with the tech requirements, all you have to do is plug those tech requirements into the stage plot. So make sure that there's consistency between your tech requirements and your stage plot. Again, if you need multiples of items, it is really handy to make a little legend at the bottom of the page that explains what your symbols mean. But as long as it's clear and easy to understand, you've created a successful stage plot. Congratulations. And maybe I will stop the recording now. Let's figure out how to do that.